Hi everyone, it's DJ Philip Tan, and I'd like to let you know that I'm playing this Sunday at Zuzu's in Central Square for the Ugly Sweater Disco. This is a donation drive organized by Cakewalk, James Walker. What we'll be doing is collecting old coats, cans of food, or toy donations, and distributing them to the homeless. So if you can bring one of those things, you can get in for $5 instead of $10. Either way, if you're over 21, we'd love to see you there, especially for that first hour when I'm warming up because it's Boston and people don't always show up on time. So if you do show up right at the beginning, it's like a little private party for you and me. It is disco. This is Love's Theme by the Love Unlimited Orchestra by Barry White. And it's an important record for me. When I was a kid, I used to go swim practice in Singapore, a tiny little island where I grew up with, surrounded by water. And after I was exhausted and cold, I get into the car, and whatever show was on at that time, every time I went home, would use this as their closing song. And hearing disco makes me think about home a lot. So this is very sentimental to me. You can expect my set to have a lot of nostalgia in there. Specifically, a lot of stuff that I play is influenced by the Paradise Garage. This is an important New York disco that existed in the 80s that kind of ushered in the transitional era between the disco of the 70s that everyone's pretty familiar with and what we will consider upbeat R&B of the 80s, along with the more popular songs that people know the words to and can sing along to, and I fully expect to feature some of those. I also expect to play some of the more down-tempo, a little funkier tracks that maybe even if you hear it, you don't necessarily think, is that really disco? But it will blend, and I would like you to sort of hear it in that context. I play a lot of breaks. These are the sort of instrumental bits that sometimes you get in the middle of a long disco record that are intended to help DJs actually transition out of the song. But hip-hop DJs use the breaks kind of as the star attraction. That's where the breakdancers will get onto the floor and show their stuff. And I really, really enjoy sort of extending those breaks and playing out those breaks. So if you hear these long, extended percussion sections, for instance, you'll understand what I'm trying to do. I play a fair amount of high-energy music. Granted, this is an opening set, so I may keep that to a limit. But high energy, when I use that word, I don't just mean it generically, but as a genre definition. This is a kind of very synthesizer-heavy music that was very popular in the gay clubs, especially in the late 70s and the early 80s. And it really ushers in the transition of disco music to a more electronic era. So I also bring in a lot of house, which features a lot of disco samples, for instance. And when sampling technology became accessible to producers, what disco turned into was house. Now, none of this should sound particularly surprising to anyone who's heard any of my sets before, and there are a number of other DJs who play around Boston in a similar style. In fact, the two that I'll be playing, that I'm warming up for, Trip Report and McNeil, are some of the best. If you stick around for, all the way to 1 a.m., you're in for a treat. Hopefully I get you in the right frame of mind so you can enjoy your drinks and then dance the rest of the night away. So Zuzu's is right next to the Central Square MBTA station on the Red Line. So you don't even really have to park. You might have to take a rideshare home because the T closes down at some point. But I do hope to see you there, and if you can bring a donation, that would be great. I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you.